Look, I just got the letter on Friday, and I didn't know how to tell you.
I'm really happy for you. Okay? Okay. Let's go have some fun.
Okay.
Camera only.
Okay, we'll use the video camera for now. So we're having some audio visual problems with the
As usual. We have gear.
well, at least the white dangling dongle isn't in our faces this time.
You love dongles in your face. It wasn't in my face.
Hey, you're well.
My Chevy Chase was crystal clear, dude.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway.
We're here in the 1992 Honda Prelude VTEC 4-wheel steering, automatic sunroof, all the bells and whistles, but no safety features. Talking about the history of the Prelude and why it died out.
That's good. Well, that's interesting that you bring out the safety features because the later models, the Kokis, actually had safety features as an option, but this I understand is a Zenki, which maybe didn't offer those features even as an option.
Right. I did not know that. It seems like your homework turned up some facts that I wasn't aware of, but that makes sense around the era from 91 to 96 that there were a lot of safety features advancing at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the first Prelude that came out was with the advent of the Honda Verno outlets, the dealer networks basically, that specialized in certain cars.
Okay.
Like the Honda Primo might have specialized in...
it was their high-end dealership.
Yeah, like Primo might have been for Civics and Accords, for example, some SUVs, CRVs perhaps, and the Verno maybe was for the performance cars like the Prelude or the upper-end cars.
Marketing levels of dealerships to the different types of cars that Honda manufactured at that time.
Right, and it does make sense in that people at certain dealerships, there's less cars for people to have to know about. So you'd have more specialized knowledge
right.
in those employees, I believe.
That makes sense because then each salesperson wouldn't have to know everything about every
Exactly,
model.
They're not overwhelmed by information, and they can focus on giving the customer accurate and good information about certain cars when they ask for it.
And especially back in those days in Japan, they had numerous different models that they were manufacturing simultaneously. Just reference Gran Turismo with 50 different Subaru Imprezas from the mid-90s.
Yeah, not to mention all the trim levels that they had. It is a very, very good system that they had, and they still have them too. Like Nissan, they would have the Prince dealerships and things. So
okay,
it's something that North America didn't seem to adopt, but seems to be working very well. Anyway, the Prelude was the flagship model of the Verno outlets from 1978 until the debut of the NSX, I believe, in 1989, 1990, and the NSX became the flagship car.
Of course.
No longer the Prelude, and
actuating the sunroof now, as you can see.
It's good weather for it.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and so the Prelude at that time was very popular in Japan, especially the second and third gens, as date cars. As younger people started getting into the market of buying cars, the used car market was getting more saturated, and people were with lesser income or just starting out to get an entry-level car were able to afford, nicer cars in the 1980s. up until then, in 1960s, 1970s, cars were still kind of
unobtainium
yeah.
for a lot of young people, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
It was kind of a luxury item only.
Yeah. So with the 1980s bubble economy and people earning a little more and a lot of competition between the companies or the manufacturers bringing out cars with different options, led to younger people buying these cars or being interested in these cars, and it kind of became a status symbol. So much so that they called these cars date cars. So
right.
S13 Sylvia, Toyota Soarer, for example, and the Prelude, those were kind of the three main segment date cars that young guys would use to impress girls. So that's where the kind of feature-loaded aspect of these cars came to be. Four-wheel steering, we got the sunroof, cruise control, power mirrors, of course, power windows. Those were just starting to be available in the lower, more affordable level cars as well.
It's interesting too because this car has all of those features, but it has no traction control. It has no airbags. It has no side impact beams. Mm-hmm. Did I say ABS? It has no ABS.
Right.
It's got no active safety features, and the only safety feature it really has is a seatbelt.
Then, with the 4th gen, what Honda did was shorten the wheelbase, made the cabin a little bit larger, made the 4-wheel steering electronic instead of hydraulic, got rid of the pop-up headlights, a number of different things to make it a little more sportier looking, rounder body style, for example, as well.
Well, they put the twin-cam VTEC engine into it as well for the first time.
Absolutely.
Which was a huge leap forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. The twin-cam H22 VTEC engine that is in this vehicle is no joke. Compression, I believe, is 10.4 to 1, if I remember correctly.
I will correct you, it is 10.6.
It's 10.6, okay, so a little higher than what I imagined. So yeah, it's quite a nice vehicle to be driving in. It's a great highway cruiser.
It's capable of pushing about 150 miles an hour. But I haven't disabled the limiter on this one. The limit is 185 kilometers per hour, which it gets to quite readily. That's 113 miles per hour for those of you who are wondering.
Yeah.
And it handles great with the 4-wheel steering system. It can turn around on a dime. I think it holds about 0.9 on the skid pad test from what I read. But this one may not quite grip that well because it's quite heavy with the 4-wheel steering system and all the options installed.
So I guess we're going to be taking this car down to see Tacoma.
That's right.
In a few days, and we're pretty excited to get some footage of that. So we'll be taking this car down mainly because it's a great highway cruiser, like we mentioned. It's automatic.
Yeah.
So there's not, it's a great long distance road trip car. And,
yeah.
It really didn't cost that much to get either for how much comfort, and performance and comfort that it
incredible
offers.
The used car market in Japan still has a lot of great deals in it. A lot of cars are going up in price. As most of you know, the Skylines, of course, the Supras, the S2000s, the Civic Type R, the Lancer Evolution, the STI, all those things, they're really going up in value, but you can still get a Prelude for well under $3,000. It's in good running condition, and of course the 25-year importable rule for the United States is a factor, but you can get into a VTEC Prelude now quite affordably.
Yeah, and it offers a respectable level of exhilaration too. It's not a slouch by any means.
Oh no.
So
0 to 60 was well under 7 seconds. There was a limited slip differential optional in Japan. I don't think the US had an option for that. There was in the final generation Prelude, the one that came after this, there was a 220 horsepower version, which was 100 horsepower per liter, of course, and it was quite a serious performance car. It'll be interesting to see what Tacoma thinks of this car because she's pretty hardcore enthusiast with the vintage Toyotas, and from what I've gathered, she's trying to be sort of nice. Hasn't quite specifically said it, but I think she pretty much hates Hondas.
Well, let's hope she thinks positively of this car because it's quite unique, even in the Hondas. Like, for one thing, it's right-hand drive, and it's got a lot of different features that weren't available in typical North American cars. So
yes,
hopefully she'll pick up on some of the interesting aspects of this particular car. All right, we'll hit the road.
Okay, yeah, we'll see you next time on Wongon West. I'm Kyle.
It's Kenji.
See ya.
Ciao.